Two young men are enjoying a ride on a jet ski in the Fjord Strait. The area is made up of deep valleys that were flooded by the sea long ago. Without realizing it, a gigantic gray shadow silently moves beneath them, deep underwater. The two friends keep having fun and perform exciting tricks on the water. They begin riding in circles and create a swirling whirlpool. Suddenly, the mysterious creature rises from below. It grabs both young men and drags them beneath the water. Neither of them survives the attack. The story then introduces Diana, a marine biologist. She examines underwater mapping equipment that has just been brought back by one of her divers. She listens carefully to the recorded sounds from the ocean floor. While studying the recordings, she notices strange changes in the sound patterns. At that moment, her colleague Larson from the Marine Institute calls her. Diana tells him she is busy and needs to return to her research site. Larson explains that he needs her help because she is the most experienced person for the job. He asks her to travel to the east coast near the village of Vangsne. When Diana hears the name of the place, she becomes uncomfortable. She clearly does not want to return there because of painful memories from her past. Even so, she knows the work is important and agrees to go. Larson tells her he is sending a video that might change her mind. While sitting inside her car, Diana watches the video on her phone. The footage shows thousands of fish jumping out of the water. It almost looks as if the fish are trying to escape from something below the surface. Diana cannot explain this strange behavior. Wanting to discover the truth, she immediately drives toward the location. When she arrives, she hesitates for a moment and wonders if she should continue. She steps out of her car and calls her old friend Eric. Unfortunately, he does not answer the phone. Meanwhile, a small aircraft flies over the deep fjords of the Norwegian Sea. Some parts of this area are more than 1.5 kilometers deep. The region is also home to a large salmon farming facility. This modern fish farm is expected to become a major success for an Asian seafood company. The aircraft lands, and the investors arrive at the floating facility. The farm belongs to a company called Western Salmon. The massive structure is built on strong floating platforms made from old warships. The manager, Tommy, welcomes the visitors. He introduces them to the lead investor, Jin Yong. He also introduces Eric, the aquaculture engineer, and Jorg, the monitoring technician. Jorg presents a demonstration of the farm's advanced technology. He explains that tiny parasites often attack salmon and can kill them very quickly. To solve this problem, the company created a system called Sonic Lash. The technology sends carefully controlled sound waves through the water. These sound waves drive the harmful parasites away from the salmon. As a result, the fish remain healthy and protected. The proposal sounds impressive, but one of Jin Jong's assistants is not convinced. He says he has heard that the technology also has a serious drawback. According to him, the sound system can slow the growth of the salmon. He also says it can stress the fish and make their flesh too tough to be sold. Eric quickly corrects him. He explains that the correct sound frequency keeps the salmon healthy and comfortable. He says that is exactly how their system is programmed. Eric adds that if the frequency is too low, it becomes harmful. If the frequency is too high, it can damage the entire marine ecosystem. The investor becomes concerned after hearing this. Eric reassures him by saying the software is highly advanced and very reliable. He explains that the system automatically adjusts to the needs of the salmon. Meanwhile, Diana arrives in the town of Vangsnes. The town is peaceful and beautiful, making it a popular tourist destination. People there enjoy a safe and relaxing lifestyle. While walking along the pier, Diana meets her old friend, police officer Henriette. By chance, she also meets Tommy after 7 years apart. She also sees Henriette's daughter, Maria, who is now a teenager. Maria only greets Diana briefly because she has somewhere important to be. She gets into a van with several other young people. The group then boards a boat and sails away. Henriette takes Diana to inspect an area related to her work. They discover a large fishing net that has been badly damaged. What surprises them is that similar damage has been found in several other places. The story then follows Maria and her friends. They are standing near the edge of the same valley where the strange fish video was recorded. Among the group are Roger and Peter. They belong to an environmental group that wants to shut down the Western Salmon complex. They believe the fish farm is damaging the local ecosystem. Inside the van, they discuss whether they should carry out their plan immediately. Maria tells everyone to wait. She believes Diana will make the right decision. Maria says that if the fish farm is truly responsible for the mass fish deaths, Diana will make sure it is closed. Back at the Western Salmon complex, Eric tells Jorg to activate the equipment. At the same time, Diana travels to the facility with her old friend Olaf. Olaf is a fisherman and a boat captain. He tells Diana that the fish farm should be shut down. He believes it is responsible for the deaths of thousands of fish in the area. Soon, Diana enters the facility to begin her inspection. Eric is surprised to see her there. She explains that the Marine Institute has ordered her to inspect the complex. Eric asks Jorg to give her a tour of the facility. It is clear that Diana and Eric once shared a close relationship. Something happened between them in the past, making this reunion uncomfortable. Jorg explains how the complex works. He proudly says the structure is almost impossible to sink. It was built using strong sections from old warships. The steel used in the construction is about 40 millimeters thick. Diana is shown to the room where she will stay. She spends the night at the complex. The next morning, she leaves by boat to continue her inspection. She listens carefully to the sounds coming from the deep water. Eric joins her during the trip. The two have a brief conversation. Their discussion is interrupted when a huge shadow slowly passes beneath the boat. They assume it is only a very large school of fish. Elsewhere, hundreds of crabs suddenly crawl out of the sea. They seem to be escaping from something beneath the water. Several hours later, Diana visits Tommy's house. She spends a few moments talking with Maria. Maria is happy when Diana congratulates her on the boat her father gave her. They begin discussing the strange video Maria recorded. Maria asks Diana why she has come to the town. She says she believes the fish farm is responsible for everything that has happened. She hopes Diana will help shut the facility down. Diana explains that her job is only to investigate and write reports. She says someone else will decide whether the complex stays open or closes. Maria becomes disappointed after hearing those words. She begins to doubt whether Diana will really help. Back at the complex, Diana studies the team's records about the salmon. She discovers that fish continue to die every day. The parasite population is actually decreasing. This means the parasites cannot be the main cause of the deaths. Diana then asks to examine the records from the sonic lice system. Her request immediately makes Jorg nervous. She later goes outside to inspect the salmon cages. Meanwhile, Tommy is giving a presentation about the fish farm to a new group of investors. During the meeting, Eric calls Tommy. He tells him that Diana is inspecting the facility. Eric says he is worried she might discover something serious. Tommy tells him to deal with any problems that appear. He then ends the call. Tommy returns to the meeting with the investors. He is pleased when Jin Jong says he is interested in building more fish farms across the Norwegian Sea Strait. At the same time, Diana continues inspecting the salmon while Eric watches closely. She carefully studies the data from the sonic lice system. Her research shows how different sound frequencies affect the hearts of fish. She discovers that when the sound reaches a certain level, the fish's heart collapses and bursts. This shocking discovery makes her realize how dangerous the system can be. Deep underwater, something large suddenly crashes into one of the devices. The impact triggers an alert in the control system. Jorg immediately tells Eric that he will inspect the equipment. Diana goes with him to help. As they arrive, they hear loud knocking sounds coming from beneath the complex. Although the noise is strange, they do not believe it is dangerous. When Eric opens the equipment, he finds an unknown organic substance inside. Diana quickly takes the sample to the laboratory for testing. Her examination reveals that it belongs to an unknown species. The creature has features similar to animals that normally live in the deep ocean. It is covered with glowing slime. Diana and Eric wonder why a deep-sea creature has come so close to the surface. Neither of them can explain it. Eric notices a drop of the glowing slime on Diana's face. She immediately washes it off because she fears it may cause an infection. Elsewhere, Henriette discovers the abandoned jet ski belonging to the two missing young men. She believes they drowned at sea. Several hours later, Jorg receives another warning from the monitoring system. The salmon are behaving in a very unusual way. The fish have become extremely aggressive. They even appear to be attacking and killing one another. The team decides to dive underwater and investigate. Diana volunteers to go first. As she swims deeper, she scares away a small group of fish. Moments later, she makes a horrifying discovery. She finds the body of one of the young men who disappeared earlier. Henriette is immediately called to the scene. Diana points out the glowing slime covering the body. Henriette asks if the fish farm could have produced the strange substance. Diana explains that the slime came from a large deep-sea animal. She says many marine creatures release glowing substances when they feel threatened. Some species also produce similar slime while laying their eggs. Later, Henriette returns home and speaks with her husband, Tommy. Tommy happily tells her that the investors accepted his proposal. The new agreement will greatly expand Western Salmon's business. Night falls, but work at the complex continues. Eric suddenly hears a loud noise outside. He goes to investigate. For a brief moment, the salmon inside one of the cages become extremely restless. Inside her room, Diana struggles to fall asleep. She suddenly sees a strange creature crawling across her stomach. Terrified, she jumps out of bed. A moment later, she realizes it was only a frightening hallucination. The next morning, a group of people practice canoeing along the edge of the fjord. Hidden beneath the surface, several long tentacles slowly rise through the water. One canoeist dives underwater to perform a flip. Without warning, she and her canoe are pulled into the deep water. The others are confused for a moment. Then they realize they are under attack. A gigantic tentacle, like the arm of a giant octopus, attacks the group. Within minutes, the water becomes calm again. It is as if nothing ever happened. Far away, Diana continues listening to underwater recordings. Suddenly, a deep roar echoes through her headphones. She checks which listening buoy recorded the sound. She travels to the location and retrieves the device for inspection. Confused by the strange noise, Diana questions her old friend Olaf. She asks about the stories he once shared many years ago. Olaf says that when he was a boy, he saw something strange in the thick fog. He watched the sea move as though something enormous was swimming below. Inside the fog, he saw only a huge shadow. The mysterious shape disappeared only moments later. His story makes Diana wonder if the giant creature could truly exist. Near the town pier, Henriette receives another emergency call. She quickly arrives at the scene. Several damaged canoes have washed onto the shore. Inside one of them, she finds half of a victim's body. The horrifying sight leaves everyone shocked. Henriette notices strange circular marks on the damaged canoes. Meanwhile, a tourist boat is sailing through the fjord. The boat suddenly crashes into something huge beneath the water. At first, everyone believes they hit a rock. Soon, they realize it is a living creature. The giant animal rubs its body against the boat. It appears to be trying to remove parasites from its skin. Back at the fish farm, Diana studies the sound equipment more carefully. She realizes the sound waves are reaching the deepest parts of the fjord. She warns Eric that the system is no longer safe. She explains that the sound can be heard almost 2 kilometers away. Eric is shocked by her discovery. He insists that he programmed the system to block the sound from spreading that far. Diana tells him the equipment is not working as it should. She says the sound waves are harming the entire ecosystem. Wanting to know the truth, Eric goes to the control room. He asks Fjord to check the system data. Eric then calls Tommy. He angrily asks why the signal blockers were turned off. He warns Tommy that the entire fjord could be destroyed. Tommy refuses to accept the blame. He accuses Diana of lying. Tommy claims she only wants Eric to shut down the project. He tells Eric to leave everything as it is. Tommy only cares about pleasing the investors. He believes the project will make them all very rich. After saying this, Tommy hangs up the phone. Eric is left frustrated and angry. Meanwhile, Tommy continues meeting with the investors. Suddenly, the body of the second missing young man floats against the large aquarium window. Everyone inside is horrified by the sight. Back in the laboratory, Diana studies the strange parasite. She discovers that the organism is only a parasite. This means it must have an enormous host. Eric becomes convinced that the sound system is disturbing the deep ocean. He decides to shut down the sonic lice equipment. Fjord refuses to let him do it. He agrees with Tommy and wants to keep the system running. At a nearby beach, authorities order everyone to leave the water. People are told not to return until it is safe. The order comes after several deadly incidents. Tommy arrives back at the fish farm. Diana confronts him immediately. She explains that the sound frequencies are disrupting the entire marine ecosystem. She says the signals are affecting both shallow and deep water creatures. Even after hearing the evidence, Tommy refuses to turn the system off. He values the project more than the danger. At the same time, Maria and her friends secretly approach the complex. They are wearing diving suits. Their plan is to destroy the sonic lice equipment. Peter enters the water while the others wait above. He swims toward the underwater cables. As he begins cutting them, a strange parasite suddenly attacks him. Peter quickly rises to the surface. He cries out for help. Moments later, the water turns red. Something drags him back into the depths. Maria screams in horror. Eric notices the group through a pair of binoculars. When Tommy realizes his daughter is there, he rushes toward her. Just then, something massive crashes into the base of the complex. Everyone hurries to rescue the frightened young people. More violent impacts shake the entire structure. The giant creature begins pulling on the anchors. The whole complex starts moving. Warning alarms sound throughout the facility. Fjord desperately tries to keep the systems under control. Outside, Diana stands frozen in fear. A thick fog slowly spreads across the fjord. A deep rumbling sound echoes through the valley. Suddenly, a huge tentacle rises from the water. It slams into part of the complex. Diana barely escapes being crushed. Another enormous tentacle slides over her before disappearing beneath the water again. She runs inside the building. Diana tells everyone that the creature is enormous. She also warns that it carries hundreds of deadly parasites. The parasites begin crawling onto the complex. They search for new hosts. Everyone stays as quiet as possible. They hope the creature will not notice them. Suddenly, a parasite drops from an air vent. It lands directly in front of Diana. Roger panics and runs away. Maria bravely crushes the parasite before it can attack anyone. Inside the control room, Fjord and Eric realize that the entire complex is drifting from its original position. Something enormous is pulling it through the water. Eric leaves to warn the others. Fjord stays behind for a moment. Suddenly, a massive tentacle crashes into the control cabin. Terrified, Fjord runs for his life. In one of the corridors, the group is attacked by another tentacle. The creature tears a heavy hatch from the wall. Then it grabs Maria and pulls her away. Diana is horrified as she watches Maria disappear. There is no time to rescue her. More tentacles wrap around the complex. Several of them force their way inside. The survivors escape into another section of the facility. Tommy desperately shouts for his daughter. Moments later, the giant creature appears again. Tommy is forced to face it. For reasons no one understands, the monster brings Maria back alive. Tommy rushes to hold and comfort his daughter. The creature violently lashes its tentacles around the area. Both Tommy and Maria are knocked into the water. Tommy is caught by one of the giant tentacles. He is dragged beneath the surface. The enormous creature quickly devours him. In another section of the complex, Fjord finds the injured Roger. As he gets closer, he makes a horrifying discovery. Roger is being used as a host by one of the parasites. The parasite is slowly feeding on his body. Frightened, Fjord tries to back away. The parasite moves toward him. Fjord manages to knock it aside. As he looks at the creature, it sprays dark slime into his face. Fjord screams in pain. His cries attract the attention of the giant monster. A huge tentacle grabs the small compartment. It drags the entire section into the deep water. Meanwhile, Diana is surrounded by one of the creature's giant arms. She is forced into an air duct. The monster searches for her with its powerful suction cups. Diana manages to crawl into another compartment. For a short time, she escapes. Soon, the creature finds her again. Its living tentacles search every corner for prey. Diana moves as quietly as possible. A small movement catches the monster's attention. One of its long feelers brushes against her coat. She quickly removes the coat. Even that is not enough. The creature wraps part of its tentacle around her neck. Just then, Eric quietly arrives with an axe. He wants to attack the monster. Diana tells him not to. She knows the axe will only make things worse. Instead, Eric starts the engine of a nearby boat. The loud noise catches the creature's attention. It turns away from Diana. The monster attacks the engine instead. As it strikes, part of one tentacle is badly damaged. At the same time, Henrietta searches the fjord by boat. She discovers an abandoned private boat. No one is on board. She finds bloodstains across the deck. A strange parasite slips back into the water before she can catch it. Elsewhere, a worker is cleaning the underwater aquarium. Suddenly, something hits the glass. She sees another giant parasite outside. The creature smashes through the glass. Water rushes into the room. Back at the fish farm, the giant sea creature continues destroying the complex. Inside the control room, Diana and Eric hear the computer warning them to reduce the sonic lice frequency. Even Eric cannot stop the system. As a final solution, Diana grabs the axe. She smashes the control panel. the equipment is destroyed. Almost immediately, the giant creature stops attacking. For the first time, everything becomes quiet. Looking outside, Diana spots Maria floating unconscious in the water. She rushes out to rescue her. At the same time, Eric fires a rescue flare into the sky. Henriette sees the bright signal from far away. The powerful light briefly reveals the giant creature. Everyone finally sees its enormous size. Although the monster swims back into the deep water, Diana knows it will return. She tells Eric they must reprogram the remaining sonic lice device. Her plan is to overload the system. She hopes the powerful sound pulse will destroy the creature. Before they can leave, another parasite crawls toward the unconscious Maria. She is too weak to defend herself. At the last moment, Henriette bursts into the room. She shoots the parasite and saves her daughter. Diana places the reprogrammed device inside a small boat. Without asking anyone for permission, she sails away from the complex. She reaches a wide open area of the fjord. She activates the device. Then she throws it into the deep water. The powerful sound attracts the giant creature. As morning approaches, thick fog still covers the fjord. The monster suddenly rises from the depths. It crashes into Diana's boat. She is thrown into the water. A giant tentacle wraps around her. With almost no strength left, Diana looks at the magnificent creature one last time. Then the overloaded device reaches its highest frequency. A massive sound pulse explodes through the water. The powerful wave destroys the creature's heart. Just as Diana discovered in her research, the sound is deadly. Diana's air begins to run out. She slowly loses the strength to reach the surface. A short time later, Eric, Maria, and Henriette arrive and begin searching for her. Suddenly, Olaf appears through the thick fog. He has rescued Diana from the water. Sadly, she does not survive. Diana gives her life to save the entire region. Although the giant creature is dead, the danger is not over. Deep beneath the Norwegian Sea, one of its eggs remains hidden. The story ends by revealing that another monster will one day hatch and bring terror once again.